There was always some sense, the questions about what Tim Geithner would do ultimately, and the one thing that we heard from people close to Geithner all along was that he would never go to a Wall Street bank, especially one of the banks that he used to regulate as head of the New York Fed. So it is not a huge surprise that he is headed to an investment firm, but he has headed to Wall Street, and there were questions about whether he would ever head to Wall Street, given the kind of distance he was trying to create there for him. But this is a firm that is a private equity firm. Of course, as Treasury Secretary, he and the rest of the Obama administration went after the tax code and particularly the carried interest tax preference that the private equity industry enjoys. So they were never successful in changing that. Now he's going to be the beneficiary.
Peter, he's got the most interesting academic background, very different than most people that have been in senior cabinet positions. What would you describe as the Geithner leadership formula? He's had to be a follower and a leader. What is his formula?
Well, I think the one thing you can take away from Tim Geithner for sure is, yes, he's been faced with a lot of crises, and that is the idea of responding in force to a crisis, particularly a financial crisis. I think both when he was at the Treasury Department under Bob Rubin, they dealt with the situation in Mexico, and he took lessons from that, and he applied that at the New York Fed when he was there, and also as Treasury Secretary, that he's one of these people who believes strongly in decisive action of throwing everything at a problem.
Right.
And whether or not he'll do that at Warburg Pincus is another question. Very different job altogether with different resources. But this is someone who believes in decisive action, whether or not there's some pain down the road as a result. Political pain is what he experienced here.
Peter, we all believe in decisive action, but Timothy Geithner has never really worked in the private sector before. Any idea what he will be doing at Warburg Pincus?
Well, the sense we get from the statement and what I'm hearing as well is that he will not be just a figurehead. A lot of folks leave Washington, head to Wall Street, and they do a lot of schmoozing with customers and clients. And I'm sure there'll be some of that for the 75th Treasury Secretary of the United States. But the sense we're getting is that he's actually going to be doing some work, that he's going to be part of deals. He's going to be giving direct advice. And that's the Tim Geithner I know, that's exactly what he would want. He would want to get his hands dirty. He'd want to get into deals. And he would be very bored if all he did was shake hands at cocktail parties.